Okay, so we got this sound. This is our ambient moving pad atmospheric sound. It doesn't really matter what the notes are in here right now. By the way, in Energy XT, let me just close the browser down here, give us a little more room. I can just add right down here. There's a very, very small menu right here, drop down menu, and there's a little tiny plus button. But this allows you to add a completely new mix. So it's added a complete blank arrange page, and I can toggle through these, and I can add as many as I want. So hence creating this template, which again is really just about building in, pulling in the sounds, getting a rough idea of what I want to be able to use and have ready at hand to pull from. So that was our first sound, the pad. This one is basically a pure sine wave, and it's coming from 528 hertz, which is slightly off C, but I've tuned it to C on the keyboard. So it will basically just be a little bit detuned from natural C, and that's because it's a solfeggio frequency, so it's not standard tuning, but it still works. There's just a little bit of detuning that will happen, and this is what that sounds like. Very pure sine wave. I've added some delay and some reverb to it. It's going to sound kind of like a flute when you play it up higher, and it's kind of what I was wanting. But when you start adding up some of these notes, this is actually from a Tibetan singing bowl. So I wanted to have that kind of resonant frequency as an instrument in here. So it's not playing the note that it was recorded at. I've tuned it to C, and now I'm playing something in D. But again, the notes in here don't really matter. I'm just using this to kind of build in and arrange the kinds of sounds and frequencies that I want to be able to use in a template. The next sound I have is wind chimes, and these are also, I called them Tibetan wind chimes, but I'm not sure if they're actually from the Himalayas or somewhere else. But anyways, they are somewhat atonal. There's multiple notes in them, so I just left it at a C2. But again, I'm playing, and they will play both at different rates, at different pitches, and at different timings, because I'm just using the same sample, and it's not stretching it. So the lower the pitch is, the slower it's going to play. The higher the pitch is, the faster it's going to play. And it will loop back on itself. So I can use this to get a lot of movement and textures, and I could also filter this down to get just a lot of interesting textural elements. And together those sound like this so far. The next sound I wanted to add in this template is a piano. And this piano is one that I've created. I've used it before. And I just wanted to show how I'm sort of molding it within the context of these other instruments and frequency ranges. This is something that I sampled from, I believe it was the Forefront piano, which is a free VST sampled piano. So it's a very well sampled piano. It's very simple. And I just sampled one note. Now I have it now on C3, basically so that I don't have to go down the keyboard, because I have a small size keyboard to get lower octaves. And I like this in lower octaves. Now it's kind of bright, but the way that I've also made this is that it will loop infinitely. So it'll have the piano sound that will eventually fade out. It has a long release, and built in the same sample, I put in reversed wind chimes that were actually from my old house outside. So that's all within this single instrument. So it works really, really well. If you just want to play piano and you're not going to hold things out for very long, but if you're doing these drone kind of things and these longer, more like soundscapes that I'm working on here in this template, you can hold it out and get these swells that come in. And so now I'm going to do some shaping to this sound here. One, I'm going to match it with my other sort of mid-range sounds here with the color. I'm going to pull off the low end. I don't want to get rid of it completely, so I'm going to go down to like 60. Let's see what it sounds like at a lower octave. And I'm going to give this G max, just a limiter. I'm also going to put a filter on this because I want it to be a little bit darker. And I also want to use this as automation for later. So, especially in the higher notes, this is very bright. So I want to bring that down, maybe to like 40. And I might not ever want it to be as bright as it can actually be, so I might take this down in the sampler to something like 70. Yeah, I like that better. So now if I turn the filter off, it's bright, but it's not as bright as it was before. And with the filter, I can fluctuate the filter throughout the track. With it on, it's much more mellow. I'll give it a little bit of Q. This one only maybe like 10%. Gonna add some delay. Let's see, about 30. A little bit of reverb. There's already some in the sampler. So if I was going to play something to go with what I've got here, let's see what this sounds like. I like that. I think we'll keep that sound. All right, more to come.